undefeated in Milan. Tonight, another big win for Team USA Hockey.
It felt amazing.
Only 5 on Your Side has reaction from the St. Louis trio in Italy going for gold.
So you're playing for your country, you're playing for so many people.
Fogged in. A few of us might be tomorrow morning, but the odds favor the widespread and thick fog will stay out of the metro area. Otherwise, some of us will get spring fever this week.
Our top story, a woman relives the trauma of abuse.
My kids had to live with a monster.
Tonight, she's coming forward with her story now that her ex is accused of shooting another woman in the face.
Guilt that I couldn't prevent this from happening.
This is 5 on Your Side at 10. I'm Mike Bush. Tonight, Anthony Shawth remains behind bars, accused of shooting Heather Cioric in her Florissant home. Hours ago, his ex-wife talked only to our Melanie Johnson about the violence she says she escaped nearly 20 years ago. Melanie.
Good evening, Mike. Shauna's ex-wife made 20 calls to 911 to police, and only 5 on Your Side has copies of this report. Tonight, she comes forward after a mom of 3 was almost killed by the same man. The woman says she tried to warn police he was a monster.
And he trapped me in a room in our basement and held me by a rifle.
A marriage this woman describes as a house of horror.
Years of mental, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. My kids had to live with a monster. I had to learn how to co-parent with a monster.
The wife of Anthony Shawth for 13 years.
I left in 2009.
Concealing her name for her safety.
Situations like this, like when it comes to Heather, should have never happened.
Her ex-husband, now behind bars, accused of shooting mom of 3, Heather Cioric, in the face with a shotgun. The two only together for 8 months.
Guilt that I couldn't prevent this from happening. The first time he pointed a weapon at me, a gun at me, that was probably 2 to 3 years into the marriage.
Records show Shawth's ex-wife called police 20 times to report his abuse from 2006 to 2009. Those same documents show Shawth violated orders of protection 4 times.
Whether it was breaking down the front doors, whether it would be stealing all of my belongings and taking off with them, whether or not it was a physical altercation. Nothing was ever done.
She joined survivors statewide pushing for a new domestic violence registry law in Missouri.
Anybody who is an abuser needs to be held accountable.
For those who made it out alive, like Heather, and the victims who didn't.
It's mind-blowing how strong and just determined she is. But she has 3 beautiful children she's fighting to get home to. And that's what a mother is, right? That's what we do.
Shawth was never charged with abusing his wife. He's waived his bond hearing for last month's shooting. His ex-wife visited Heather, who is beginning to talk, communicating mostly through writing, urging everyone to download the SOS 911 feature she credits with saving her life. To support her recovery, find the link to her fundraiser in this story at KSDK.com.
Turning now to your weather impact forecast. We're on tap for a big warm-up this week. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is also tracking some fog overnight. Scott?
We are. We do have some visibility restrictions already coming down here. You look over towards Flora, down to 2 miles. Now, Farmington's been bouncing around a little bit, but still 8 miles. I think the worst of the visibility restrictions are going to end up being south and southeast of St. Louis. Now, technically, Jefferson, Monroe, and St. Clair County here on the southern side, southeastern side of the metro area in that dense fog advisory. It's more likely you'd see widespread dense fog as you go just farther southeast down towards Perryville, over towards Salem and Mount Vernon and Centralia. And again, you look towards the guidance that we're looking at here, and the thickest fog should be well to our south and east. We have some high clouds rolling in overhead right now. Of course, the moisture at the low levels in place because of the rain we saw over the weekend. 1.5 inches of rain yesterday into last night. These are the high clouds streaming overhead as we go through the overnight hours. It should limit us to some degree. Still think we'll wake up to clouds tomorrow morning and temperatures in the 30s out the door and then back into the 40s by 9 o'clock. That dense fog advisory would expire at 9 o'clock. Most of the metro won't see much. We'll see you in a few minutes.
All right, Scott. Just hours ago, Warrenton police announced they arrested a man wanted for hitting a police officer with a car and running away on foot. Damon Wayne Jackson Jr. faces several charges, including assault, resisting arrest, and driving with a revoked license. Jackson and two other suspects fled police back on February 1st. They were caught on nearby home surveillance cameras. One person was detained that night. Police have not brought us an update on the whereabouts of the third suspect. The officer was not hurt. Tonight, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office is investigating after a woman was found shot and stabbed to death inside a Fenton home. The discovery yesterday on Winding Valley Drive prompted a massive police search for the suspect. 5 on your side's Reagan DeTrolio explains how this led to the evacuation of a Festus hotel overnight.
This neighborhood here in Fenton is where it all started. Police say they found a woman dead inside one of these homes on Saturday afternoon. Police say 46-year-old Marjan Ludwig was stabbed and shot. Jefferson County Sheriff's deputies then traced the suspect, 69-year-old Billy Moman, who had been staying at the home, to a Holiday Inn Express in Festus, 23 miles from the crime scene. It's still unclear how the two were related, but detectives say they knew each other. As a safety precaution, hotel guests were safely evacuated around 11 p.m. Saturday and bused to Festus High School for the night. Deputies say everyone had to leave because Moman previously served prison time for murder and could have been armed and dangerous. Detectives, negotiators, and SWAT team officers were at the hotel for hours throughout the night trying to take the suspect into custody. Around 7 a.m. Sunday morning, law enforcement entered the third-floor room to find the suspect dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. 5 on your side tried to talk with hotel guests, but we were asked to leave before we could interview. Guests on the lower floors of the hotel were bussed back Sunday morning to grab their belongings. Right now, this is an active investigation. Reporting in Jefferson County, I'm Reagan DeTrolio, 5 on your side.
5 on your side looked into Moman's criminal past. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison for a 1995 murder of a woman in Minnesota, and according to court records, he stabbed her nearly 150 times. Right now, the St. Louis Police Department's Forced Investigation Unit is investigating after a man died days after officers drove him to the hospital. Police say 29-year-old Mark Smith was acting erratically and needed medical attention when they detained him Thursday. No ambulances were available, so they took him to the hospital in a police van. And during that ride, officers say Smith intentionally hit his head against a metal screen. Smith arrived at the hospital unconscious. He died yesterday. Within the last few hours, Savannah Guthrie released a new video pleading for the return of her mother. It comes exactly 2 weeks since the disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie.
I just wanted to come on and say that we still have hope, and we still believe it is never too late to do the right thing.
Today, a source familiar with the investigation confirmed that a glove containing DNA evidence was recovered roughly 2 miles from Guthrie's Tucson home. It appears consistent with the glove worn by a man captured on her doorbell camera. The data center debate is happening in communities all across the region. In Jefferson County, a paid ad in a local newspaper pushing a data center there promises lower taxes, stable power bills, even a stronger community. So who's behind it? A county executive featured in the ad says he doesn't know.
Who is driving data center expansion in Missouri?
I don't know who's driving the data center expansion.
The group calls itself Mo Data. Tomorrow night at 10, 5 on your side's political editor Mark Maxwell goes in search of the power players behind it. They retired but still work on Wednesdays.
The way I look at it, if you sit and watch the TV all day, you're going to waste away.
How a group of retirees are building homes and building a sense of purpose and community. Rolling down the gold carpet.
Tina Turner is part of St. Louis's history.
Tonight, the symphony of a local legend, a St. Louis institution, and city spirit.
Simply the best. That may be how you describe the midweek warm-up with near record highs. We are tracking the changes coming over the next 7 days.
Making a Difference is sponsored by Midwest Bank Center.
For some retirees, Wednesdays mean golf or grandkids. For others, it means grabbing a hammer and heading back to work. In tonight's Making a Difference report, we introduce you to a crew that proves purpose doesn't punch a time card. Most people reach retirement asking what they can stop doing. Others ask what still needs to be done.
Let's pull those nails out and we'll wrap that house wrap around. And
every Wednesday at a Habitat for Humanity build in Wentzville, a group of men show up to work not because they have to, but because they want to.
the way I look at it, if you sit and watch the TV all day, you're going to waste away.
They're known as the Wednesday Crew.
Get a nail every 16 inches.
Retired men who trade in free time for hard hats and spend the middle of the week building homes for people who need one.
They're all retired individuals. None of them have a real construction career background, but they love coming out and helping build the homes.
All the way to the end. There you go.
One of the men who's been doing it the longest is 84-year-old Gene Speckles.
I worked for McDonnell Douglas and then Boeing for 36 years, and then I retired in '99.
But retirement didn't last long. Gene showed up one day and never really stopped. It's now 27 years of Wednesdays, long enough to figure out what keeps a man coming back.
They work together, they get along with each other, you know, and it's a great organization to work for.
All right, go up 2 1/4.
2 1/4.
And Gene will tell you the Wednesday Crew doesn't just help build homes. There were times they built something for him, too, especially after his wife Martha died in 2024.
It was a place for me to go and relax. It was just good for me, you know.
Habitat for Humanity has been building homes in St. Charles County for nearly 3 decades. And it's the mission that inspires the Wednesday Crew.
I wanted to help people get into affordable homes. And right now we have a real problem with that.
Along the way, Gene reached a milestone few ever do. This is home number 100. That means 100 front doors, 100 first nights, 100 families starting over.
The happiness you could see in the families that got these houses was amazing, you know, and that really made me feel good, knowing that I had something to do with building this thing, you know, for them.
Gene says as long as he can keep helping, just like the rest of these guys, he plans to keep showing up.
They're really important to what we do, and we really appreciate them being out here.
For the Wednesday Crew, retirement didn't mean the end of work. It meant having the time to do the kind of work that matters most. Habitat leaders say the Wednesday Crew has become so dependable over the years, they sometimes plan construction schedules around them. A reminder, if you know someone making a difference for others, let me know by email at mbush@ksdk.com. Puppy love was in the air today at the City Museum. Stray Rescue brought dogs decked out in Valentine's Day swag, hoping to get them adopted. Guests at the Puppy Love adoption event got to meet and play with the dogs, ask questions, and apply for adoption.
There's so many dogs out there that are living in old shattered homes or living on the streets that it's just a blessing to have those little ones adopted and fostered.
Stray Rescue has more than 200 adoptable dogs on its website right now. All right, Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell rejoins us now with the weather impact forecast, and he's talking about temperatures that might get close to some records this week.
I think we're gonna nudge record highs on Wednesday, especially Wednesday. That looks to be the warmest day of the week. Thursday's not far behind though. Only fly in the ointment for tomorrow morning is the potential for fog. We've seen a little bit develop over towards Florida right now, Mount Vernon, Salem. You're in that fringe area here off to the south and east, Perryville, St. Genevieve too, where the visibility are likely going to drop off somewhat as we go through the rest of the night. And we may get some quarter-mile visibilities. But right now, we're not thinking it's going to be overly widespread or very long. So we're thinking for most of us around Metro St. Louis, and even though the advisories in St. Clair, Monroe, and Jefferson County probably going to be more patchy than widespread, but you may encounter that tomorrow morning. You may have to slow down just a little bit and use your low beam headlights. After that fog lifts, we're looking at a pretty good day tomorrow. 66, 67 on Tuesday. A lot of clouds on Tuesday, but still mild. 70s Wednesday, and then into Thursday, we're low 70s. By the time we get into the upcoming weekend, of course, just in time for the weekend, it gets to feeling back like February once again. There won't be a lot of rainfall opportunities this week either. Very limited chances. We've dropped to 43 this hour. That becomes the new low for the day. We were up to 57 for the high this afternoon in St. Louis. Over towards Flora, 31 tonight. Mount Vernon, 33. There probably will be some pretty thick frost on your windshield with that fog around, but the fog itself should lift. And again, the more widespread fogs farther to the east of us. Tomorrow afternoon, just an absolutely gorgeous day. Next 7 days, there's your potential records here. Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday, 77. We're forecasting 72, so I don't think we're going to be able to make that. But Wednesday, we have a shot at it. More energy out here coming in from the Pacific coast. This is going to be our weather maker here. We get these disturbances rolling our way from the Pacific. They will pass through and across our region as we go through this week. The first one comes in as we go into Tuesday night, late into early Wednesday morning. And you know what? It doesn't have much of an opportunity to produce any precipitation. The next one will be here Thursday. It doesn't have much moisture to work with. So generally speaking, there's very low chances for any rain here over the next few days. Certainly nothing like the 1 to 2 inches many of us saw yesterday and last night. We're mild for much of the beginning of the week, but as we head towards the weekend, by Saturday and Sunday, we really drop those temperatures back to at or a little below average.
The Kachucks are doing their thing in Milan. Illinois basketball got their mojo back. And City was at Powell Symphony Hall tonight? We will explain next.
And here's what's coming up on Olympic Late Night on 5 on Your Side. At 10:35, athletes race for gold in the mixed team snowboard cross final. Then in skeleton, the mixed team event debuts. And in free ski, athletes attempt to land massive tricks in the big air final.
Let's head to Daytona for the 68th running of the Daytona 500. Kurt Russell and Nate Bargatze on hand. Final 500 yards. Tyler Reddick got a welcome push from teammate Riley Herbst, and Reddick muscled his way past Chase Elliott to win the Great American Race. The owner of the car you may recognize, Michael Jordan. Reddick is from DuQuoin, Illinois. Illinois is one of the few college basketball teams in America who can lose 2 games in a week and you still think they can win the national title. Hosting Indiana, and those fabulous freshmen were on fire. David Murkovich for 3 of his game-high 25. You like those 3-pointers? How about a 4-pointer from Keaton Wagler? He had 18 points, and he finished in style with this circus shot. Illinois rolls 71-51. Time now for a moment of greatness at Pebble Beach. Scotty Scheffler, 6-iron, 186 yards. It's nearly perfect. It's set up an eagle. His 3rd of the round. He's never done that before. He shot a 63. He began the day 8 strokes off the lead. That putt gave him a share of the lead. But Colin Morikawa caught fire late. He wins for the first time in 847 days. And he was greeted by his wife, Kat. They're expecting their first child. A lot of emotion on that green. Well, we showed you this week the new City SC uniforms paying tribute to Tina Turner. As Zach Parnes explains, the connection continued tonight.
Tonight, on the gold carpet.
This is really exciting.
To see it in person, it was absolutely gorgeous.
St. Louis City SC is rolling out a new kit for the 2026 season inspired by St. Louis legend Tina Turner.
It's timeless. I mean, Tina is Tina, so I think, celebrating her tonight means so much to all of us. We're very proud.
City SC's usual attire at home is red. The new kits are a bright gold, emblematic of Turner's glamorous attire and performances. They feature a silhouette of the 12-time Grammy winner and Tina's iconic signature in City Red.
It is an amazing kit, and the details with Tina Turner and just a world-class icon, and to be able to celebrate her in this fashion, it's absolutely amazing.
Turner moved to St. Louis at age 16, where she developed her craft in clubs around the area before gaining monumental fame.
Tina Turner is part of St. Louis's history. She spent many years growing up here. She became an artist here in this city. I'm sure that's something that not a lot of people around the world know, and we're excited to put a spotlight on it.
The Turner collaboration is the very first of its kind. Adidas has never had a female artist-themed kit before this moment.
You'll be able to buy the Tina Turner kit at Energizer Park this upcoming season, or you can grab one right now at a pop-up shop at City Foundry, open until February 20th. At Powell Hall, Zach Parnes, 5 on Your Side.
I got to tell you, I think it's a really good-looking jersey.
And they'll still wear the red once in a while?
Yes, that'll be the road jersey. The red will remain the home.
All right, Frank, thanks. There's 41 days until kickoff, but tonight the St. Louis Battlehawks are also battle ready with some new armor.
It's time to go on the move. I'm Paul Cook, your traffic guy from Today in St. Louis. The construction I want to tell you about is in a bad spot because it's right in between two other big MoDOT projects already underway. I'm talking about that intersection at Page and Lindbergh in Maryland Heights. The intersection is a traffic funnel that takes on congestion from other busy roadways nearby, and that's turning Page at Lindbergh into a traffic choke point for commuters. MoDOT is replacing both the east and westbound Page Avenue bridges over Lindbergh, so demolition and lane shifts will continue through late this year. Crews started on the project, closing ramps and parts of the road last weekend. To avoid the gridlock, MoDOT suggests drivers headed west on Page take Midland to Lindbergh. If you're headed east, you might try using Olive. Another option is Schutz Road. Lots of changes, so plan ahead, stay safe out there. Paul Cook, 5 on your side.
The St. Louis Battlehawks will be flying back into town with a new look. Today, the team unveiled a sleeker design of player uniforms. Both the blue home and silver away jerseys feature the St. Louis arch on the shoulders. The United Football League says it's symbolic of the city's role in the return and growth of professional football. The Battlehawks will open the season at the Dome on March 28th. And Scott has a final check of the weather impact forecast as you send the kids out the door in the morning.
Yeah, some of them don't even have school tomorrow because it's President's
Day.
Yeah,
that's
so,
right.
and there's no mail, which means no bills. All right, so temperatures are in the 60s tomorrow. After we have a little fog in the morning, we think the thickest fog's most likely going to be across southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, and a little farther away from St. Louis. But we have a few patches in the metro area. The big story there is through Thursday, look how mild it is. 60s Monday and Tuesday, flat out warm Wednesday and Thursday. I think spring fever is going to start sweeping across the area.
What a great start to the week. There you have it, 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on your phone and smart TV. Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4:30 a.m.